This is David Ong, and you're listening to Smoking Hot Confessions.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben Arnott, and I'd like to welcome you to another killer episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast, Australia's first barbecue podcast. Not too long ago, I was very privileged to have the opportunity to MC the Clean Heat Charcoal Barbecue Rib-Off for Underground BBQ. It was the first competition of its kind in Australia, and it was a hell of a great day out. It was essentially a down and dirty grudge match to work out who cooks the best pork ribs in Australia once and for all, earning themselves the title of Rib King or Queen. Oh, and a cool $1,000. In cash. The contestants were a veritable who's who of Australian barbecue. The promoter, Rohan Peterson, who you've heard in episode 7 of this podcast, invited the top 3 scoring teams for pork ribs from the 2016 season. Then he invited 2 more teams who are famous, or is that infamous, for their smack talk about their ribs. Wildcards, if you will. The lineup included Pitts Perfect, Full Metal Kettle, Rub and Grub, Bush Kitchen, and Roll and Smoke Barbecue. You'll remember Lucas from Roll and Smoke Barbecue from episode 8. However, Rohan had a couple of things up his sleeve to throw at these competitors. He wanted a level playing field, so he contacted Manhorn Barbecue Smokers, who supplied nearly identical smokers for all competitors to use for the day. He reached out to Clean Heat Barbecue and Misty Gully, who supplied the charcoal and the smoking woods. The final step was to get everybody using ribs from the same supplier too. As soon as Rohan filled me in on his plan, I knew I had to be involved. Now the judging was really interesting too, with an all-star judging panel including Eureka Smoke, Suck Knuckle Smokers and The Smoking Joint, all leaders in the competitive barbecue circuit. After the 4th team had some problems and couldn't make it, I got to step in and take their place. I got to tell you, to sit at that table with those 3 teams and talk ribs for an hour or so was an experience that I won't soon forget. The event was kindly sponsored by Clean Heat Barbecue, Hammer Style Knives, Misty Gully, Manhorn, Barbecue Shack and Macca Knife Rolls. The venue was kindly supplied by The Vineyard, which itself has a long, steeped history involving meat and fire. All proceeds from the event were donated to Soldier On, an organisation which does a lot of work with returning servicemen and women. It was a great event for a great cause, and I was really proud to be a part of it. One of the things I got to do was record a series of interviews with the competitors, sponsors and suppliers. It was fascinating to hear all their stories and, of course, pick their brains for tips. When else was I going to get an opportunity like this? And now, it's your turn.
This is the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with barbecue pitmaster Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Alrighty, I'm sitting here now with Abel from Clean Heat Charcoal, the major sponsor of today's rib-off. And I just want to say, first of all, welcome and thank you, Abel. How are you doing today?
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you very much for having me here. And it's a wonderful privilege to be part of the Clean Heat Rib-Off Cook-Off, you know?
Definitely. Now, I understand you're a bit like me. You're an import from out of state. So how's things over in South Australia at the moment?
Well, you know, South Australia. I mean, it's a nice little place, nice and quiet and that, but the love for barbecue there reigns supreme. We've got some really good teams. We sponsor some of those teams and, it's all good.
I understand that the number 1 team in Australia is from South Australia too, isn't it?
That's exactly right, and that's Suck Knuckle Smokers, and they are also part of the Clean Heat stable, and they use our charcoal, and it's all good.
There's a pro tip right there.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so could you give us a quick run through of what products you've brought today for the teams to cook on?
All right. So basically, what we did is predominantly the boys are cooking on the premium grade product, and the reason why this product is a premium grade product is because unlike a lot of other competitors and so on coming out of South Africa, they use just a normal straight run, what we call a normal table run charcoal. We actually screen for size and for quality. So everything that you see in those bags, in those premium size bags, premium grade bags, they're all 50 mil and up. And specifically, we use a Namibian hardwood called Mapani, or alternatively, we'll use an acacia, depending on the application.
Okay. And what makes Namibian hardwood different?
Okay. Well, it's got beautiful flavors, first of all. In the meat, it allows the meat to have beautiful flavors whilst cooked. It really burns very, very hot and for a very, very long time. So it makes a it's a hardwood. It's unlike other fuels, which are also good, I suppose, like mangrove, much softer. It's a softer type of wood. So the harder the wood is, the longer it burns, the better it performs, and it's more consistent in heat. So you're actually able to gauge your temps and your pit gauges. And
Right, okay. And can you tell us a bit about the charcoal creation process using that?
Yes,
that
absolutely. So what happens is, in our particular instance, we've got my partner and I, we have a business called Blaze Bright Products in South Africa, and that is the manufacturing side of the charcoal, the clean brand.
Mm-hmm.
In South Africa, we go under the name of Blaze Bright Products, and for exports in Australia, we've decided to go with this brand called Clean Heat. And the reasons are obvious. It's a very, very clean form of heat. And the good thing about our product is this: that it comes out of Namibia, and the species of wood that we use is a Mpani hardwood. And what it is, it's actually an invader bush, and it inhibits all short grass growth. So it starves everything around it. So no grass grows. Therefore, animals don't flourish. There's no feed for them. So by cutting this wood down, we encourage short grass growth. It brings animals back into the area.
Right.
Okay. The other advantage is that there are a lot of impoverished communities up in those areas up in Namibia. So by employing these people, so we're helping with poverty and empowering impoverished communities. It's fantastic. So once the stuff is burnt and carbonized up in Namibia in mobile kilns, unlike the traditional pits, in Namibia, we use mobile kilns, which are typically about 2 meters in diameter, and they move around from area to area. So we burn, and then the next day, when the charcoal is carbonized, they take it down. It gets trucked to our facility, which is 2,500 kilometers away.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite a distance. And then, so the stuff comes down to our factory. We've got a big screening machine, and everything falls through the screener. On the top screen, we've got a 50 mil screen. So the shaker starts shaking anything that's smaller than 50 mil. The 50 mil goes down the one conveyor belt where it's screened for half-burnt pieces and anything that's undesirable, stones, rocks, whatever it might be. Then it gets all taken out, and it goes through there. Now, for us to get 20 tons of premium-grade charcoal, clean charcoal, we need to screen 200 tons at a time.
200
tons.
Wow.
Okay, because typically it's a weed, it's a bush, so you don't really get very, very big pieces.
No.
As a result of it not being a very, very big tree.
Well, they're not 200-year-old growth.
No, they're not, and they're very prolific. So you cut them down, they grow again.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable how quickly they grow. So once we get that 50 mil out, and that's destined, and it's the 50 mil, the premium grade is destined only for export markets. We do not sell that into the local market in South Africa. So anything from 49 mil down to about 30 mil goes into these red bags over here. Mm-hmm. And that is really good for direct barbecuing, home barbecuing, Weber applications, and also, making kebabs, just your general straight direct grilling.
Yep.
Then whatever falls underneath this, the crumbs, which we call the fines, they go into a crusher. From the crusher, they go into these big blenders. And we add water and 10% maize starch until we get like a thick porridge type of consistency. And by doing so, then we throw that through another chute into the molds, and we get our pillow briquettes.
Yes.
Which are little pillows, right? These particular briquettes, unlike a lot of other briquettes that are using chemicals and accelerants and all sorts of nasties, it's 100% charcoal carbon with 10% low-fat maize starch. So the application here is very good for Webers and guys like the smoking joints, suck knuckle smokers, second-hand smokers, use them prolifically in their drums. The UDSs, for example, suck knuckle smokers in particular, they will tell you, even rub and grub, all these guys use our briquettes. They hold a very, very consistent heat and have a very, very long and slow burn. So it lends itself to competition if you're running drums, Weber Smoky Mountains, that kind of application. And also very good for direct grilling, cooking fish, cooking meat.
Sounds like they'd be perfect for running a snake in the Weber too.
Unbelievable in the snake. Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So that's basically, it's a very simple business in a sense that the science of it is very simple, but it is very hard to put all those mediums together to try and produce a very high quality product so that everybody can enjoy.
Well, I love the fact that you've got no chemicals in there. I love the fact that it's all 100% natural, and I love that you're helping the local community.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can see why you're branding it Eco Barbecue.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's really good for the environment in that sense. And the nice thing about it is also the flavors that come out of this wood is absolutely unbelievable. And from a market-related point of view, from a price point of view, we're not exorbitant in our prices, and in fact, we're very, very market-related.
Beautiful. Now, how do people get hold of this product? Do they order it through your website?
Yeah, well, we've got a website, cleanheatbarbecue.com. Mm-hmm. We also have a Facebook page, Clean Heat Barbecue. And we also have a page down in South Australia called South Aussie Barbecue. And in the info page, there's a list of all distributors. Now, in New South Wales, we've got 2 major distributors. In Brisbane, we've got Zest Foods. In South Australia is myself and G-Fresh SA Spice. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the butchers now have gotten into it. So most of the butchers that are into the low and slow scene, like Ellis Butchers, Richard Gunner, Austral Meats, Rick Carr from Adelaide Hills Beef, Tea Tree Gully Quality Meats, all these guys that all stock our products. So it's easily available, and we're currently busy. Oh, another thing I need to mention to you, we just had our first order for Western Australia.
Oh, fantastic.
Through Heath Townsend. I don't know if you're familiar with the gentleman. He's a chef and a very good friend of David Ong's. And through David Ong, I met Heath. And Heath has come on board with another friend of his, Gary, and we're busy processing now a container for them. So soon we'll also be in Western Australia.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
So if anybody's outside of those capital cities, do you ship? Like, can they order direct through your website and you'll ship it out?
Yes, we can, but I always there's a word of caution there that the postal, the freight is always very, very expensive.
Of course.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a major distributor in every state.
Yep.
And then all our guys that want to buy our products can actually find the outlets there. It makes it easier for the end user. So, because it's a weighty item. So, sometimes people will ask me for a bag of briquettes or 2 bags of briquettes, and they wanted rural Victoria. And it costs $70 to send it there on a $15 product. For 2 bags, $7.50 a bag, $8, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to achieve now. So we're working very hard to try and get as many distributors on board so everybody can have a go at this beautiful product of ours.
That's a great plan.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. I'd just like to say thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate you having me here. And I'm really, really excited to see what the results are going to be tonight with the teams out there.
Me too.
And hopefully get to taste some of it.
Yeah. I'm going to be hanging in the wings, reaching out, trying to snatch some.
It would be silly not to.
Yeah. So, once again, thank you for being involved in this competition today.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure that the charity that we're here to raise money for, Soldier On, is going to be very appreciated as well.
I wanted to say that as well. I think it's a great thing that we're doing for the community. It's a great thing that we're doing for people that have been sort of marginalized or haven't found their feet since coming back from the war. And it's just good to be able to give back into the community and make it a community event. And I want to thank you guys for organising it, for the Barbecue Underground, from Row and Slow, yourself from Hot Smoking Confessions, isn't it?
Smoking Hot Confessions.
A bit dyslexic.
It's written on my shirt.
Yeah, that's right. I can't read. So, and all the teams that took the time to come here. And obviously the vineyard as well for supplying the venue.
It's just so great to be able to give something back to people that have given so much to us. So
100%. Yeah. That's it. And for the love of barbecue, of course.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abel.
Thank you. Take care, man. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, I'm here now with Adam, the manager of the vineyard. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for welcoming us into your iconic location here. And just wanted to say, welcome and thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. It's an absolute pleasure.
So I understand that this is quite a historical location. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of the venue?
As with the current owners, we've been here for about 17 years. And as the vineyard itself, it's probably been one of the longest running steakhouses in Melbourne. It was definitely the first. There was a old guy, Pepe, who used to do the steaks here, who was part of the first sort of Croatian immigrants that came over, and they sort of really tapped into the barbecue sort of culture of Melbourne, and went back to Croatia and got one of their sort of specialised grills. I think they used I'm not sure what sort of volcanic rock or something, brought that back here and sort of started the first steakhouse in Melbourne, and which was hugely popular right through to the 80s, really, and from the 60s. And, I used to have all the old, the Logie's favourites, you might call them, Don Lane and Denise Drysdale and all that sort of characters here in the, early 70s and all that sort of stuff coming for basically the steaks and stuff. So we carried that through. Johnny Adichie, the owner, he started here sort of as a commie chef and started talking to the owners about changing it up a bit, but keeping that sort of steak and sort of humble fare going through, and ended up owning the place in 99. And kept Peppy on. Peppy used to come in just once a week for the Monday steak night, which we're still running, and he would do nothing but stand in one spot and sort of do the dumbnesses, and that was about it. And huge character that was very staunch in what he was and wasn't going to do, but he's still going actually. And still to this day we've got the Monday steaks, still doing awesome stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. So it'd be pretty fair to say that the vineyard is one of the original homes of barbecue in Melbourne.
Absolutely. Like up there with Zars, I think it is, and a few of the famous steakhouses are still doing it. And, we like to keep it going. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm actually from the Gold Coast, and
sorry.
Sorry. Well, there's definitely a lot more culture and fashion happening down here than there is up there.
Well, we don't like gold handbags as much.
No. But I was just sort of impressed with the strip here. You've got Luna Park just next door here.
Yeah.
You've got the vineyard right here, and all the strip of shops and things going down there.
Absolutely, it's very iconic in Melbourne that we have those sort of outcrops of famous streets, Brunswick Street and Smith Street and Ackland Street, Victoria Street up here, and all very different unto themselves. But it's awesome to be part of it. Yeah.
You've had a chance now to meet all the teams out there. Have you got a pick as who's going to win yet?
Being fair, it'll be whoever pays me the most. Really.
The little red envelope under the table.
Well, that's it, yeah. We'll see. I have to go up and count them and make sure everyone gets a fair go to bribe me. Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. We wouldn't want to be untoward.
No, definitely not. No, we'll edit it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. All right. So I just want to say thank you then for having us here today
awesome.
at your venue to have this event.
Hopefully we can do it again.
Definitely, yeah. And I'm sure that the people that we're here to support today, the Soldier On charity, is also very appreciative of your efforts to help them out as well.
Oh, always. No worries.
Thanks very much, Adam.
Yes. Thank you.
G'day, Brenton.
Hi, Ben.
How's it going, mate?
Very well, how are you?
Good, mate, good. So are you enjoying this lovely, overcast, rainy, cold, windy day today?
I'm not going to lie. I think we could have been a little bit luckier. Yesterday it was cracking, but at least it's warm.
Mate, I flew down from the Gold Coast yesterday, and it was warmer here in Melbourne than it was up on the Gold Coast.
Well, yeah. The last barbecue competition we did was in Hobart, and it was 28 degrees and sunny, blue skies. So
28 degrees in Hobart. Nice.
I know, I couldn't believe it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to you today because you've brought the wood for this competition today.
Yep.
And so I thought we'd have a little bit of a talk about that and find out what makes Misty Gully woods so unique and so perfect for what we're here to do.
Sure. Well, it was a real pleasure to supply the wood for the comp. We have Australia's largest range of smoky woods for the low and slow American barbecue cooking scene. We have, I think, 25 or 26 different species at the moment, which we either import directly from the States or we source from various suppliers around Australia. I guess our big focus as a business is to make sure that we're sourcing from the finest suppliers, and our focus is quality. So I think when we get the chance to showcase our woods at a competition like this, it's really great because we're proud of our product, and I think it yields really good results too. So, yeah.
Lovely. You mentioned before 25 or 26 different variations of wood. Can you tell us a bit about what you've brought for the teams today?
So in front of us here, these are just some pecan logs. And yeah, I mean, the nice thing about those is just the size. They're sort of perfect for an offset and sort of a larger, slower smouldering smoke. But Yeah, we have 25 species, as I said. Pretty much anything that you're looking to achieve, we'll be able to hook you up with a species that will deliver those results. So a lot of our stuff comes from the States, as I said. We're, I think, maybe the only company in Australia that gets our hands on some of these woods and in the sizes that we get them in, because we don't just do chunks, we also do chips, dust, logs, all these kinds of things. So, yeah, and with our network in Australia, we also just have access to some pretty unique natural hardwoods that are found only in Australia from either like far north WA or even down in Tassie. We've got a number of wineries that we get access to all their old wine barrels and shavings and stuff. So
Nice.
we've got a really nice variety of woods, and yeah, we're really proud of our product.
So what makes the pecan so special? Does it give a particular flavour to the meat? Or?
Pecan is very similar to a hickory, so it's just a classic smoking wood, but the main difference between pecan and hickory, I guess, is it's just a little less spicy, and some of those nutty characteristics come through on a smoke. So with hickory, it's a classic, but I guess pecan just provides you with a chance to let your other flavours come through while still having that classic barbecue smoky flavour.
Sounds perfect to me. Now, I've heard that there's a big craze at the moment for pecan-fed pork. If I took some pecan-fed pork and then smoked it with some beautiful pecan logs, would that be too much pecan?
I don't know. I guess if you like pecan, there's probably no such thing. But you could just go and eat some pecans, I guess. Yeah, look, that sounds great. I know that there's a big movement in Japan about feeding their Kubota pork purely fruit for their entire lives and then cooking them up like a pear Kubota pork or something like that. So yeah, look, I'm sure it probably works with pecan as well.
Well, I'm going to have to take that as a personal challenge now and go home and experiment, I think.
Yeah, or just eat some pecan.
So are you actually based in Victoria?
Yeah, so we're based in Reservoir in the northern suburbs. We do ship everywhere in Australia. Like one of the biggest challenges in the business is just managing the logistics in a massive place like Australia, but also, managing shipments that come in from the States. And we also manufacture and distribute a bunch of products that come in from China as well. None of them are wood products, but we also distribute some smokers and barbecue accessories and those kind of things. So, yeah, logistics is a big part of it, but we're based just in Reservoir, right off the ring road, and so it's a pretty good spot. And generally we get all our orders out within 24 hours. So, yeah.
In 24 hours, that's fantastic. So you're kind of a bit of a one-stop shop then, if you can actually buy the smoker and the fuel and the gadgets. And
Absolutely. So we've got an online retail store called smokedandcured.com.au, and as the name suggests, we have pretty much everything you need to smoke and cure your own meat. So if it's low and slow and American barbecue that you're into, we've got the smokers, we've got the woods, we've got all the rubs and seasonings and accessories you might need. But another big part of our business is also the curing of meat. So people who are interested in preparing their own charcuterie and also like their own salami making, sausage making, that kind of thing. So
nice.
Which smoking comes into as well, because you can obviously smoke your charcuterie and smoke your sausages and that kind of thing. But yeah, they're the two core parts of the business.
Lovely. Just before, you said that you have logs, chunks, and sawdust.
Yep.
To the uninitiated who may be listening, could you tell us the difference in uses of those three forms of the same wood?
Yeah, sure. I guess the other one is chips as well. So basically, like, it all just comes down to burn time, really, and the kind of appliance that you're going to be using to smoke. So the bigger the cut of wood, the slower it's going to slower it's going to burn, and the longer the smoke you're going to get. When you're using something like dust, for example, you can use like a polyscience gun and generate smoke very quickly. It burns at a relatively lower temperature and you get a very instant smoke, but you're not going to get a lot of it. When you move up to chips can be great because you can either feed them directly into a smoker yourself, or if you're cooking with charcoal, you can just sprinkle a few over the top. They burn very quickly and you get that instant smoke. So if you only want to hit something with smoke for an hour or so, it can be good. Chunks and logs, perfect for an offset or that longer, slower cook where you're looking for more of a smouldering release of smoke.
Awesome. And one thing I've heard a lot of people debating about is the merits of soaking chips and chunks before putting them on the fire. Where do you stand on soaking them?
I soak mine. That's just because I like to introduce another flavour if I can.
Yep.
So depending on what I'm cooking, I've soaked my chips in everything from Dr. Pepper through to just water. It really.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it didn't go so well actually. But
Oh,
yeah,
no, good.
You can.
Sorry, Dr. Pepper.
You can soak them in pretty much everything. Like we recommend apple juice, apple cider vinegar. Any kind of juice actually. We like wine, beer. Peach chips with golden ale is a winning combo we found.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, all that soaking your chips really achieves is just a slower burn, and so the smoke lasts a little bit longer. And you get the added benefit of more subtle aromas and flavours. So, yeah.
I've seen some people soaking their chips in whiskey. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, we sell a bourbon soaked whiskey.
There you go.
Chip, yeah, definitely. The thing about whiskey chips is you just get this lovely undertone of alcohol, I guess. When you it's only subtle, but it's there, and it's. I don't know if you're a whiskey fan, it's definitely a good thing. Yeah, coffee soaked is the other one. That's
interesting.
That's worth a crack.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to give that a go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today,
No worries.
and thank you for bringing along the wood for this little barbecue competition.
Our pleasure.
And I'm sure that the charity that we're supporting, Soldier On, is going to be really appreciative of your help in this event.
No worries, a real pleasure.
You're listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with barbecue pitmaster Ben Arnott.
Joining me on the couch this afternoon, I've got Linda and Chloe from Pit's Perfect. How are you doing today, ladies?
Good, how are you, Ben?
I'm fantastic. Now, I understand you've travelled all the way down from the Blue Mountains.
We have, yep.
That's quite a trip. What's drawn you to Melbourne?
Yes, of course, the rib-off. So, yeah, it's a long drive, though. It took us, we drove about 8 hours yesterday and about another 3 hours today. So
11 hours?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, we drove to Benalla last night where we have some family. So stayed there in a nice warm bed, which we probably won't be doing for a couple of other nights. But, yeah.
No, I think it's going to be it's going to be quite cool.
It's Melbourne weather, I keep getting told. So
coming from the Blue Mountains, though, you'd be pretty used to cool weather, wouldn't you?
We're sort of only 20 minutes up the mountain, so we're not so bad. We're quite temperate where we are, but we don't get the snow, which is good because I can't deal with that sort of weather. Even this sort of weather is killing me. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm from the Gold Coast, so I'm dying. Yeah,
it's killing you. Yeah.
I thought I'd be very clever last night and air my jeans out on the balcony. And of course, it poured rain all night, so I'm stuck wearing shorts today, and I'm so cold I can't even tell you.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
So how's the competition treating you today?
Good, actually. I've never used one of these smokers before, and it's keeping its heat really well. So it's almost like cheating. I'm not really doing a whole lot. It's just looking after itself. And I think I might have put my ribs on a little bit early, but we've taken the temperature right now. So we'll see how it goes in the end. I can see a lot of the teams doing some really technical stuff, and we're just sticking to what we usually do. So whatever happens, happens, I guess. And it's all about hopefully they're not falling off the bone too much when we pull them out. So,
tell me more about your rib method. How do you go about it?
Well, we used to do the 3-2-1, but our first ever comp we were in last year. We came first in ribs, and looking back, I don't think they were the greatest ribs. I just think that the judges might have been a little bit easy. I don't know. Today, having actual teams judges is going to make a big difference. So you can't get away with it being too overcooked, and it's going to have to be spot on. So we've taken it down today to about 2.5 unwrapped. We're going to do about an hour and a half wrapped, and then we'll just see how long it takes to get the nice glaze on top. Hopefully it'll pull out at about 6:05, which I think when we're turning in. So hopefully it all works, but we'll see how it goes. So.
There's a lot of things that this particular competition is turning on its head in terms of the way competitions are usually done. And one of them is having, as you said, competitors as the judges. What do you think that's going to add to the competition?
I think it's great because I find with competitions it's really difficult depending on where the competition is. If your judges actually know barbecue, or if they just they went to a restaurant where they had ribs that are totally different to what our ribs should be, compared to having people who actually know what they should be like. No matter how many times they tell a judge, this is what your ribs should be like, they're still going to go with what they like. So I think these guys are actually going to know what it's going to be like, so there's not going to be much room for error. So it's I think it's really, and I think everybody having the same barbecue, the same wood, the same charcoal, the same meat is amazing, because it's getting really hard to compete with some of the teams who have a lot of money and are getting the really good slabs of meat that not all teams can get, and that makes a massive difference. So I think it's good everybody's on an even keel, so I think it's a really good idea.
The level playing field is definitely refreshing.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And I mean, it's still interesting to see. I'm not trying to watch what the other teams are doing, but everybody's still got their own way they do everything. So it's, even though we've all got the same stuff, everybody's doing things totally differently. So
we're all trying to watch what everyone's doing. It's okay. You can admit it. We're all standing there going,
yeah, that's right.
What's happening over there?
Am I doing the right thing? I doing it? Yeah.
What do you think's in that rub? Can you just reach out and pinch a bit?
That's exactly it.
I think we're all doing that. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Very good.
Yeah. So we're cooking on clean heat fuels today.
Yep.
Is that similar or different to what you usually cook on?
I have been cooking on clean heat for a while, so I love it. It's really clean. I notice a difference between using that and other brands. When you've got it in your chimney, there was just no smell. So it's just really clean, and I find they don't burn too hot. So it keeps, I usually use Weber's, so it keeps the temperature really level, which is good. I think they're a great product. They're really good. So.
That was one of the other questions that I was going to ask was you were talking about being reasonably new to these offsets here.
Yep.
Do you usually cook on an offset, or do you usually cook on the Weber?
I have just a little cheap Park at home, which was my first introduction to offsets. Now I've just bought a new one from Hog Pit Smokers. We call her Fat Amy. She's big and purple and yellow, and it's a big reverse flow. So we used her at Wollongong last weekend. It didn't go very well, but that was not the smoker's fault. That was totally my fault. And it's interesting. Like, I found with the Webers, I have a lot of trouble keeping the temperature constant. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've got the vents a little bit wrong. It just goes up and down. Again, I felt like I was cheating. It was so easy. I put in a piece of wood and then I'm twiddling my thumbs. I've got nothing to do. And I find with just flipping the chimney open or closed is like, I keep saying to everybody, it's like turning a knob on the oven. It just makes such a big difference. I know a lot of blokes have said they don't find it makes a big difference, but I really think it does. And so you don't have to keep messing with the vent by the fire so much to get the heat in the chamber where you want it to be. So I find that it suits me. It's really good. Can't complain about any of it. So
good to hear.
I just got to get the flavours and the texture right, and it'll be good. But yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
It's a constant battle.
So something else that this competition is doing that's a bit different is an actual cash prize at the end of the night.
That's amazing.
Have you got plans for what you can do with that cash?
That's just recouping what we've spent over the last few weeks.
So it's just going to go straight to the credit card.
That's it. We have a magic money account that just keeps on feeding money into the credit card. That's nearly finished. So, it's been an expensive couple of weeks. We've had a few comps. We had to go up to Queensland to pick up the smoker. So that would just be really helpful to go in the kitty for hopefully next time we need bits and pieces for, as you know, it's an expensive hobby. So it's just going straight back into the credit card to go to buy more meat and do more things like that. So, yeah.
I'm much the same. I run my household budget much the same.
Yeah.
So you're currently ranked number 3 in Australia for ribs. You've got the third highest score in 2016 for ribs.
Yep.
Who's your biggest competition out there today?
Well, I know Lucas was the rib king.
Was the rib king?
I don't even know anymore because we've gone so bad in ribs lately. I think every team, not just the teams that are here, but there's some amazing teams that come up. And I think it's so subjective, this sport, I guess we call it. It's you can do great one. Basically what I do is the same. When we won first, we didn't change a whole lot. But then, like, last comp, we came 10th or something. So we can't seem to get where we were before doing pretty much the same thing. So it's any team's game any time, I guess. So, I mean, I don't know. I think every team's great. It just depends everything's got to go right for you on the day, I think. So when it does, you're up there, and when it doesn't, forget about it. So
we mentioned before about how it can be difficult for smaller teams to compete against larger teams.
Yep.
I think that is one of the leveling factors in competitive barbecue.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of it does come down to which table of judges you get on the day.
Definitely.
Do you try and modify your flavour profiles depending on where you're competing?
I'm trying. That's what I've been noticing. We've done. I mean, I think obviously where you are is going to make a big difference. The first competition where we did win ribs, we were in the country where I think it was just a lot of local blokes came out and wanted to taste barbecue. When you're in an area like this, like I said, with judges who are actually competitors, you've got to be a little bit more spot on, I think. So definitely, if you're in the country, I wouldn't try using too many crazy flavours. For lamb, they want just, Sunday roast sort of flavours. So, but getting that isn't that easy either, because I've never cooked a Sunday roast. Mum used to make that in the oven. So it's, definitely trying to do what you think the judges like. I think it's a massive part, and I'm still learning. I try to take that into consideration, but it's tough to do. So, yeah.
Now, one of the things that you do that is a bit different to some other teams is you actually run a website, I understand. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's fairly new. It's kidsperfectbarbecue.com. We do blogs on there. I've been a bit lazy lately because we've been really busy, but I try and just let people know about what we've been up to, any good recipes I come up with, just trying to get barbecue out there because it's such a new thing in Australia. And it's interesting, the amount of interest we are getting in it is really good. Like just for just a new team, this is only I think our first competition was October last year, so we're still learning. I mean, we've got a bunch of followers on Facebook, and I think it doesn't get you anywhere except just getting the word out there, and I think that's sharing how good barbecue is with everybody else and getting them on board. And that's why when we're at comps, I know a lot of teams aren't too keen on talking to the people, but I think it's great. And they've got so many questions. They just want to understand how it all works and what it all is. And I love telling them and explaining it to them. So I think it's important.
Whenever I'm competing, I always love setting up my prep table at the front of the site. So I can actually stand there and talk and show. And
the only problem I had with that is that when you're just in the middle of plating up, you turn in box and what are you doing? What are you doing? Everybody's asking questions. So you've got to sort of just give me a second and then get on with what you're doing. But
I actually found as I was preparing the meat for the turn-in box, I'd turn around to get something and someone had nicked something off the table.
That's always a problem too. They do that.
Now, you mentioned Facebook before. Can you give us a rundown of where people can find you on social media? Yeah,
I think on Facebook we're just Pits Perfect, I think from memory. We're also on Instagram, so we're Pits_perfect_barbecue, I think, but if you search it, you'll find it. And I try to keep right up on the socials. Again, with 9-to-5 job and all the other stuff that we've all got, it's hard to keep on top of it. But
you've got a teenager that you can delegate the social media work to. That's all second nature to the teenagers.
Yeah, well, she's only 11, but she's getting there. She's our photographer for this weekend.
Oh, so excellent!
For today, she's been taking heaps of photos of our pork.
I look forward to seeing them on the socials.
Yeah, they'll go there, definitely.
Well, thank you for joiing me on the couch today. It's been great to meet you and have a catch up and to meet your daughter. And I love seeing families that have
she can cook some mean
compete
ribs
together.
Too,
so yeah. Thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm here now with Shane and Lucas from Roland Smoke Barbecue, one of the wildcard entries at the rib-off today. Welcome, gentlemen. And exactly how wild are you being today?
We are sensible. Game faces are on.
I've hit like 3 coffees.
Yeah. I think I've had an orange juice.
Yeah, I'm wired.
So you're keeping it under control pretty well?
Generally, yes.
Yep, it's all going well.
And you're from Sydney, right?
I'm from Sydney and Shane's from Auckland.
Right. So how are you liking this beautiful Melbourne weather?
It's pretty average, typical Melbourne weather, I think. It's raining, it's overcast, and it's windy.
But it's not hot. It's nice and cool.
More importantly, how is the rain affecting your cooking today?
I have to say, with the man horn, it's not at all, which is kind of good.
It's shooting along.
So it's holding temperature well despite the rain and the cold weather?
It is sitting steady at 234, according to my smoke.
Sounds pretty perfect to me.
Sorry, 233 now. You've jinxed me.
So we're in a very unique kind of competition today. Everybody's cooking on approximately the same smoker. I've been corrected.
Yep.
Approximately the same smoker. same fuels, ribs from the same source. Have you ever cooked in a competition like this before, and how are you finding it?
Well, I haven't, no.
The only one, I suppose, similar to this is maybe when Grant from Wingham gave us the state challenge to do. Other than that, no.
So this is the first time? Yep. And are you enjoying the format?
Yeah, it's great. It's chilled out, relaxed, and very.
Everyone's running to the same timeline, so,
So it's a nice level playing field.
Ribs take however long they take to cook. You're all cooking on the same thing, so...
Speaking of the ribs, what method are you using for cooking your ribs today?
They're cooking.
Just the usual rib cook. Smoke them till they're done.
So are you a hot 4-hour cook, or are you a lower 3-2-1 cook?
We are very much hot and fast until currently. We've had to slow them right down because they are cooked. And we still have 2.5 hours till turning.
So you guys are done.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you bringing today in terms of rubs and sauces?
A bit
Shane wouldn't know.
of secret blend of old mates over here.
Pretty much identical to what was winning last year.
Speaking of which, I understand you are the Rib King.
No, that only lasts for a year, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you
get beaten badly.
Yeah.
So you've been knocked off.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a little bit of pride to be regained at this competition here today.
We're quietly confident. Well, I am. I don't know about Shane.
Yeah, I'm always confident.
Quiet? When are you two ever quiet?
Always. Always.
So who do you reckon is the biggest threat to you out there today?
Saffron.
Saffron.
Why is that?
She beat our asses hard last year, and I'm pretty confident she'll try and do it again this year.
She cooks in the States, she cooks here, like she's experienced heaps more than what we have, so.
Definitely.
She reminds me of like a little barbecue samurai. She's very quiet and polite, and then just slaughters every barbecue ninja. I like that.
The quiet achiever just sits back, chills out, and flogs everyone.
And then just wallops everybody.
Says there's no secrets.
Now, one of the things that we're cooking on today is pecan. How are you finding the pecan in the smokers today?
Pecan's pretty common. I use a lot of it anyway, so it's pretty standard for me.
What do you like about it?
I like the smell of it. I'm sure somehow, somewhere, it puts a nice flavour on the meat as well, but I like the smell of it.
So the smell of it as it's cooking, or the smell of the meat when it's done?
The smell of the pecan cooking.
Right.
The smell of the smoke. You can definitely smell the difference between the pecan and the apple when they're smoking next to us, so...
Yeah, that smoking next to us has like got some dirty apple wood in it or something. It's nasty. It's a rub and grub, I think they call them.
A little bit of trash talk there. Nice. Something that I've been asking people about is in the preparation of the ribs, actually adding a layer between the meat and the rub. Do you use mustard or anything like that?
No. Rub straight onto the meat.
Okay, and you just find that the moisture of the meat holds the rub on well enough?
With the rub that we use, it tends to make the meat sweat quite a lot, so it sticks pretty well.
Sounds perfect. Now, there's a cash prize at the end of this today. Do you have plans on what you're going to spend the cash on?
Yes, when we beat everyone, not me, sorry. I'm just used to being me. Sorry. We're going to go pay the parking fines with it.
Someone didn't move his car.
Ouch.
Yes.
Thank you, Melbourne City Council.
I think we'll just give to Shane.
Yeah, give to Shane. Pay for Shane's flight up to Sydney next week.
Score.
Nice, very nice. Well, thanks for dropping by, lads.
It's a pleasure.
It's good to catch up with you again.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Have a good day.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Sitting here with me now, I've got Jonathan, Al and Boomer from Full Metal Kettle. How's it treating you today, lads?
Yeah, it's not so bad so far. A little bit of rain. Undercover. It's running smooth so far. We'll find out in a couple hours how everything went.
I think we've got, about 2 hours left now, don't we?
Yeah, a couple hours. It's all been cruising pretty good so far. Meat's wrapped and just waiting on now.
Interesting. So that leads me into one of my first questions. what method are you using on your pork ribs today? If you're wrapping now with 2 hours to go, I'm assuming you must be trying a 3-2-1?
Very similar. It's somewhere based around there, and we'll have a little feel. It's
3-2-1 is always a good rule of thumb, but it depending on the size of the rack, you may need to make some alterations. So, today we just sort of had the lucky dip of the pork ribs, and we're able to, just kind of take what we have and adjust on the fly.
That's some good advice right there. Yeah. So now you are the hot favourite to win this today, being that you are 2016's number one team for
we got
pork
lucky.
ribs.
Lucky.
Oh.
Lucky. Better be lucky than good.
You got lucky.
Well, it was our first comp, so it was a bit of, we sort of thought we knew what we're doing, but our first comp, so I don't know.
And we're lucky to have judges that didn't mind taking bribes, so it's all good.
You're not the first team to mention that today. I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of investigative reporting into this, so I just see what...
It's just how to get it done. It just gets it done.
The little red envelopes under the table.
Underneath the parsley.
Underneath the parsley, right. Okay. So whereabouts are you based?
Furniture Gully, southeast suburbs of Melbourne.
We're all Melbourne-based. I'm currently over in Qatar, of all places, and I'm here doing a pork comp. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Coburg, so not too far away. You Coburg represent? Cameraman's Coburg.
So what are you doing in Qatar?
Wife's job. Took us over there. So short stint, probably 2 years.
So you're a kept man, and you get to just come and play barbecue?
Currently. It's temporary.
I'm so jealous now.
Someone's got to make all our sauces.
Oh, right.
That's right.
I see. Right. So how are you finding the competition? Because this is a bit of a unique format in that everyone's on basically roughly approximately standardized smokers.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about it over lunch that it's kind of fun. Everybody's got the same product, the same time, same process pretty much going on, and now it just comes down to execution.
Real cruisy, really. Just
no other hand-ins to worry about. It's great.
And no cleanup at the end of the day, so
even better.
Now, given that your name's Full Metal Kettle, I take it that you usually cook on kettles. So have you had to adjust your technique much to cook on the offsets here today?
Well, we've all got kettles. I've got an offset at home, but to be honest, most of it's just same practice, really. Temperature, the meat, and just adapt a little bit. But I think it's fairly straightforward.
Like they say, everything's about fire management. Doesn't matter what you're cooking on. Keep the fire right. You'll be all right.
It's just cooking at the end of the day, really. So it's, depending on, a lot of people can get quite, I guess, caught up on needs to be a specific type of cooker, a specific type of smoker. But really, it's just going to matter what sort of meat. We really like to focus on the flavors. And as long as our fire's burning, we'll make it work.
I just want to hark back to something that you mentioned before about fire management. Do you have any tips for people on fire management today?
For myself, I like to run a hotter fire. Yeah. Hotter fire is a cleaner fire. It's the colder it's going to get, the more white smoke you're going to get. It's going to get bitter. Not what you want.
So do you cook around like 300 then, or?
I like to push up 300, give or take 15, 20.
Okay, so you might even go higher, like 3.
No problem.
Depends on the protein as well. So certain types of meat will take higher heats better than others. For example, pork's generally pretty forgiving. You can really push those temperatures, whereas with beef, particularly a leaner piece of beef, you really sort of want to be careful once you start pushing those temperatures high. But 275 plus is pretty good for just about anything.
Yeah. Very nice.
Different horses, different courses. Everybody's got their own method.
So what would you recommend for cooking horses?
Sorry. Cherry. Got to be cherry.
Horse is quite lean, so 225 probably, and yeah.
It would be quite a lean meat, I think.
Very
actually.
lean. I've actually eaten.
Treat it like venison.
Oh, you have?
I've eaten it. Yeah, I ate it in Scandinavia.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Was it good?
No. No, it was horrible.
I'm sorry, Scandinavia. He does not speak for all of us. So what type of flavours are you bringing today? Given that you're a Melbourne-based team competing in Melbourne, have you got what you consider to be a southern flavour profile that you're bringing today?
No, I wouldn't say it's anything paying homage to Melbourne. we're kind of mix it up and coming up.
It's just good.
Yeah, mixed a
balance, really.
Mixed a few things up.
Yeah,
come
balance
up with a good combo that we think works.
Yeah, you got to think of for any type of food, not just barbecue. You want balance. So if you've got sweet, you want to balance that off with a little bit of heat, a little bit of acid, and just kind of find a place in the middle. So we think we've got a pretty balanced flavor profile, and we really try and just focus on that.
What do you think about regional profiles? Do you think that Australia is going to start to develop regional profiles like the States has, or do you think we're
I think it already has to a degree. It's in the beginnings. You got we cook a lot more lamb here, obviously, than they do in the US, and lamb's got a very distinctive flavour, and it actually lends itself to a very earthy kind of, that heavy rosemary sort of flavour profile. And I tend to associate that with Australia.
Definitely. Do you think though that we'll see a difference between, say, Victorian barbecue and Queensland barbecue?
I don't think so. I think it's too late in the game. It's all been done before in the States, so they kind of have the heritage in the certain areas that have mustard, have vinegar, have tomato, whereas Australia's, quite a few years behind that, and everybody knows what they like and works. There's nothing really innovative coming out of Queensland, I would say, that's different than Melbourne.
I mean, we're just really replicating a lot of it. Like, we're obviously you basing it off a lot of what we see or read about. So I suppose a lot of it's just trying to emulate or replicate what has already been done before. And it comes down to what we like.
Yeah, everybody will put their little twist. Maybe Queensland will go citrus. Who knows?
I like to put a little bit of pineapple in my stuff just to try and make it a little bit unique.
Yeah, pineapple and pork. Can't
Exactly. Pineapple pork ribs. Beautiful. Well, I just want to say thank you for joining us today, gentlemen. It's been great to have you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Bretto from the Flaming Mongrels, and you're listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions.
Alrighty, with me now on the couch is Kyle and Paul from Rub and Grub in South Australia. How are you doing today, lads?
Not too bad. Bit underdone with the weather here, but apart from that, it's a good day.
I know. It's. I flew down from the Gold Coast yesterday, and I was surprised that it was actually warmer down here than it was up there.
Jeez.
And now today, it's been pouring rain all day. So I guess the stereotypes about Melbourne are true.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So how was the trip over from South Australia?
Yeah, it's not too bad. So we went up to New South Wales and then come down through Canberra. So we've been on the road for close to a week and a half now.
Right.
And then, a couple of days in Melbourne. But, it's been a good trip, no issues, loving it. It's good, just good. This good thing with these sort of, things you get to travel around, especially coming from South Australia, so.
Is it always nice to get out of South Australia?
Oh, yeah, it is. Definitely.
I think we just made a whole lot of people very angry.
We they love it.
Yeah. So was that part of like a barbecue tour? Were you going around to a bunch of different things, or was it like a holiday to get here, or?
No, it was just we had another comp that we had to go to, so we did that, come down here, obviously got the rib off, and we thought because we are traveling to South Australia, we want to, when we do it, we always try and pick a couple of comps and just get into it and make it worthwhile.
Get some bang for your buck.
Exactly.
Or some burn for your buck, as I like to say in barbecue.
Yeah.
Now you're currently ranked the number 2 team for pork ribs in Australia. So what is your secret? What's your trick to pork ribs?
Oh, I suppose it's just, with us, it's consistency. I think we've changed one thing from the day we started doing it at competitions. Rounding off a few of the flavour profiles. And, that's pretty much it. Just keep going and just change minute changes. So it's, I suppose, and look, there's a team of 3, but now we've got Paul coming in as a rock star shift. So he's helping out a little bit, and it's just, I suppose, getting everyone's input. That's the thing as well. So not just giving one person the job. You want, the more people looking at it, the better idea you've got of how you're cooking.
So do you divvy up responsibilities for proteins then? So is Paul the brisket guy and you're the chicken guy? Or?
Yeah, we do. So John's more the brisket guy. He's a brisket whisperer. He loves his brisket. Paul's done a couple of practice cooks with us. He's the apprentice chicken skin scraper at the moment.
Oh, so, starting at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chicken's my thing. It's one of those, I hate it, but I love it. I love the end results. And then, the rest, I suppose Dylan's pretty good on the lamb, and, the rest was just split. So
Fantastic. And it's a very interesting format for this competition today. We've got everybody on approximately the same smoker, using the same fuels from Clean Heat, and the same woods from Misty Gully, and the same meats from all from the same supplier there. How are you liking this new style of competition?
Yeah, I suppose for us, coming from SA, like Clean Heat is the go-to charcoal for us.
Oh, of course.
As you know, Abel's in SA, so Paul buys it by the pallet. So it's good stuff. And the Manhorns, they're great rigs. They're built well. They're reverse flows, so we're reverse flow. We love them. And the boys seem to be pumping through. So I think it's a fair game. I think it's we don't run charcoal. We normally just burn sticks. Some of the guys out there use charcoal a bit. So I think we're all on even terms, I'd say.
Right. So have you had to change your game at all because of the weather or because of the fuels and all that?
I'd say not so much the weather, because they are like 5 mil, 6 mil still. Even if the rain hits these offsets, it's still going to hold temp. And the wind, maybe it's pretty enclosed. But it is, because we normally just burn sticks and don't use charcoal. It's sort of that heat management is a bit new to us. Trying to, what do we add more charcoal, or do we clean out the ash, or when to add the wood chip, and stuff. So it is a bit of a learning curve. But hey, it's all fun and games. This is where you learn stuff.
So are you saying that you don't usually cook? No, you did say that you cook on a reverse flow offset.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you're not having to try and learn to use the offset in one go today.
No.
Okay. All right. I see. I was talking to someone else who usually cooks on kettles, and
a bit of a difference there.
That was kind of interesting. Yeah. Now, you mentioned flavour profiles before. What do you look for in a flavour profile?
For a pork rib, I suppose it's got to have a bunch of spice, especially for competition stuff. They just have one little bite, so you want to make it full flavour initially. Heavy on the dry rub, and we tend to go for a bit of a sweet flavour profile. So.
Do you steer away from the spicy end, or do you?
Not so much on the spicy end. Like hot backyard stuff, I'm all for spicy stuff. I'm a massive chili head. But for comp stuff, you get one judge on the table who doesn't like spice. You're going to get marked low. So we try not to over spice things.
So you got to try and play it down the middle.
Yeah.
Right. And something I've seen some people doing today was applying mustard to the ribs before the rub. Are you a mustard team or non-mustard team?
We are. It's just an easy thing to make the rub stick. So it's people use oil, people use mustard. In the end, you don't really taste the mustard. Some people say they do, but I've never been able to taste the mustard in the finished result. So we are mustard guys. I don't think it really makes a difference. It just helps the rub stick to the protein.
I must admit, I haven't noticed the difference myself either. So I've actually cut mustard right out of my routine altogether. Yeah. So when it comes to actually cooking the pork rib itself, are you a 3-2-1 method kind of team, or do you go hot and fast for 4 hours and that's it, or how do you approach it?
We tend to be a 3-2-1, but obviously it depends on the cut of meat, how thick, how much meat is actually sticking on the bones. I think these guys, we've done 3-2. I think they're going for 3-2-1. Sometimes it's 2-2-1, depending on how big it is. But we tend to stick to that. And also depends on the type of cut. Like if you got St. Louis spares, or if you got baby backs, we find that St. Louis cook 2-2-1's probably a little bit better.
I see. So who do you think is your biggest competition out there today?
Biggest competition. I don't know. The Bush Kitchen girls are, pretty good. Saw them in Sydney last year, and they did really well. So, either those or Lucas. He's been the rib king. So keen to see how that turns out. But
I understand that's actually ex-rib king.
I suppose could be. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me here on the couch today and having a good chat. Before we go, I'll just get you to tell us a little bit about the actual rubs that you're using.
Yeah. So the rubs that we're using, it's just a really simple pork rib rub. But we've also got these other rubs that we sell through. We've got Rub and Grub Business, so we also make our craft barbecue seasonings. We've currently got 4 rubs up for grabs at the moment, which are available through our website at rubandgrub.com.au. And then we've also got our social media sites where we're always putting up pictures and trying to spruik them. So it's Instagram, it's just Rub and Grub, and I think Twitter and Snapchat are Rub and Grub _barbecue. So
Excellent. And is that Rub and Grub or Rub and Grub?
So it's Rub and A&D Grub.
A&D Grub.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you ship nationwide?
We do ship nationwide, and if there are people overseas, if they want them, we can accommodate that as well.
International shipping.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I think we're in about 12 or 13 stores in South Australia, but definitely looking to push the eastern states. So it's good. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, we couldn't be happy to help out. So
great. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm here with Saffron from Bush Kitchen. She's come to us all the way from Seattle, which I guess would make you an international contestant for the rib-off today. So welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Not too much jet lag at all, so let's get this going.
Excellent. When did you fly in?
I flew in on Wednesday, so I've just been pottering around, getting the lay of the land, looking at meat again, trying to bring myself back up to speed with what's been happening in Australian barbecue since I was here 6-7 months ago competing.
Right. Yeah, now I understand that you are actually the reigning grand champion of Sydney meat stock. So that's quite the crown to have, and you actually have the nickname of the Rib Queen.
Yeah, I do have the nickname Rib Queen. That sort of picked up in about 2012, where I represented Australia at the Jack Daniels, and I actually managed to walk to the stage for ribs at that. So that was pretty exciting. So it was nice to see an international team full stop get up there, and then it was nice to be representing Australia for that.
Yeah, the Jack Daniels is just about the biggest competition that there is. So how did you get to that? Was that from winning meat stock?
So I won meat stock last year, which gave me some invitationals, like the American Royal. But way back in 2012, there was no team representing Australia in 2011. In 2012 was just when barbecue was starting to sort of hit Australia, like the American-style barbecue. And I'd been competing for about a year or two at that point. I was meant to be in America just for a year or two, and I did it as an opportunity to learn a new sort of cuisine. And so then I was like, okay, well, who's the Australian representative? We need an Australian representative. And I did actually have the Grand Championship that year at another event, which meant I was qualified, and we couldn't find anyone. So I did that, and then that sort of started since then. Australia's had really good representation. It was like Matt Vitale was the year after, who's running the Yaks now. And everything snowballed from then. About the year after that, the ABA started, and now there's teams and there's competitions every weekend, and it was really fun to be the start of that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, just listening to you, you're obviously an Australian native.
Yes.
So are you from Melbourne?
I like to consider myself a nomadic Australian. So I was actually born in Tasmania. I did all of my schooling in South Australia, and I've lived in Wollongong, south of Sydney, and actually Darwin as well. And I've travelled around pretty much everywhere. There's only a few places left on my bucket list in Australia. So
love it. So today we're all cooking on, not we're all cooking, you're all cooking.
We're all cooking.
On identical smokers using identical fuel and as close to identical ribs, all from the same supplier. Is that the first time that you've cooked in a competition like that?
Actually, yes, it is. And what you're saying is not quite correct. It's all the same brand smoker that's out there, so we're all using them, and they're really good, but they all are slightly different sizes and tweaked slightly differently.
Okay.
So we actually did like a straw draw. The longest one got to pick their smoker and the meat first. I was extremely lucky where I didn't have to make any choices at all because I drew the short straw, so it was really easy. I had the last smoker and I had the last set of meat, but it was fine. I think I did all right.
Speaking of the meat, I was having a little walk around while people were trimming up their ribs and that, and I noticed that yours were the neatest looking set out there. Do you have any tips for prepping a set of ribs?
Thank you so much to start with. Any tips for ribs? Try not to overthink it. Like if you start like taking off too much or you start digging really into it, you sort of then you feel like you're in one of those Bert and Ernie things from Sesame Street. Like, let me drink a little bit more of your water. No, we're not even. Now I'll drink some more of this water. And things can like get out of control. I like to keep things as simple as possible and just clean up the edges, like really look at anything that's a little bit daggy off the end, but not get too sort of overwhelmed in trying to make it be something that it's not. I like accept the meat for what it is and do the best you can with it.
Interesting. I like that.
Thank you.
I also noticed that you were using mustard. why do you put the mustard on the ribs?
Okay, so the first step before putting on rubs, I like to put an acidic type lather on it. So yeah, today I used a mustard based one, but there's a lot of other choices too. You can use like a Worcestershire sauce or something. You just want something to sort of open that meat up a little bit to accept the flavours that are coming to them through the ribs and to sort of help them adhere a little bit. There's lots of different methodologies, but that's the one that I was using today.
Okay, so it helps the meat to sort of absorb some of the flavour of the rub, of the spices.
That's what it says. I don't know if it's a myth or not, or if it's real, but it works for me, and that's what I do. So,
love it, love it. So, how are you going out there today? As good as I normally go. Like, it's rainy, it's windy. I'm using a charcoal I haven't used before and a smoker I haven't used before. So I have a strategy at the moment that I'm running where I'm trying to take it nice and easy at the beginning and not stress too much to make sure that the meat gets a good colour and it doesn't get any strange smoke flavours in there. And then I like to wrap it at that point, at which point I can sort of, if I'm a little bit behind, I can arc that temperature up without worrying about bad smoke getting into it or anything. Or if it is doing okay, I can just keep plodding along at that same temperature. I think part of the trick doing the types of competitions I do, which is on different smokers in different locations with different meats and different charcoals, which is what I do a lot of. Like, I'm far more random in my competitions than the average, if there is such a thing as an average barbecuer, is to just make sure you have strategies in place and you leave enough time and not to get too concerned to run a very specific program, but sort of to accommodate just what's happening. And hopefully the rain disappears and that will help out a little bit too. Well, my last question then before I let you go. When it comes to pork ribs, are you a 3-2-1 person or do you follow your own method?
I was taught with a 3-2-1, but I use that as like a concept foundation. So the first one is getting the smoke into it and getting the right colour. If I get the colour and the smoke I want before 3, I stop. If I get to 3 hours, I need to wrap it anyway because it means I'm going to be falling behind. So then you've got that wrap, which you need to keep an eye on. That's the easiest time to overcook it. And once it's overcooked, you come back. And the one for me is what I call the fix-it hour. You know, if it's overcooked, you want to sort of cool it a little bit and sort of stop that process. If it's not cooked enough, you like wrap it again and you crank it out. You can sauce it. You can do a whole bunch of different things in that fix-it hour and just get it ready for the judges.
I love it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time today and thank you for coming along to the Rib Off. And I'm sure that the people that we're here to help today, the Soldier On charity for the returned servicemen, I'm sure that they appreciate everything that you're doing for them as well.
That's great. They're a wonderful charity. I like to support them as much as I can.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Joining me on the couch this afternoon is we have Craig from Suck Knuckle Smokers. How you going, mate?
Very good. Thank you very much.
It's interesting that you're here. You're here to be a judge today, not a competitor. What's that like? How's that different?
It's pretty good. I've actually never judged before, so it's going to be nice to, see what happens and take some good cue. Finally sees what other teams are doing.
Bit of a sneak peek, a little bit of a sneaky way in.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the other competitors are a little bit nervous that you're one of the judges here today, as you are the number 1 currently ranked team in Australia.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, what sort of things are you going to be looking for in these pork ribs today?
Basically, just looking for good ribs. So, just making sure that the ribs, aren't necessarily overcooked or undercooked, or just a good execution, basically. So, if you want to eat it and it's nice, that's just how it's going to get judged. So, yeah.
And can you give me a bit of a rundown on the judging process that you're using today?
So generally, we follow what the Americans do in competition barbecue over here. So it's taste, tenderness, and appearance. But generally, we're just looking for great ribs. So if the ribs taste good and you want to eat more, that's just how it's going to be judged. We aren't going too crazy on all the details.
Now, something that we're doing differently here is we've leveled the playing field for this competition. So everybody's on approximately the same smoker. The fuel's all been supplied by 2 different suppliers, and all the meats come from the same source. What do you think that's going to mean from a judging perspective?
From a judging perspective, well, I guess it's just a good platform to start from. So everyone, it's going to come down to techniques that people have learned and not variances on pit or fuel. It's just going to come down to literally how the teams do their individual ribs, whether, how long they smoke them for, how long they wrap them for, and what they wrap them with. So what flavors they're putting in with the crutch. And I guess that all comes down to what the teams have had their luck with, and they've probably played around with it over their many competitions, and they know what's working for them. So obviously the teams here are good teams who have won ribs. So I guess they're the same ribs that we're going to be getting today are the ones that have won. So it's going to be good to see what they come up with.
They definitely will be. We've got the 1, 2, 3 ranked for pork ribs.
Yep.
And 2 wild cards who play a very good pork rib game.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm actually a little bit jealous that you get to be a judge and I get to just stand there and take photos.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good.
So what would be your advice, if you could give any advice to the teams out there today, what would it be?
Advice? Just do what you do. I mean, I'm not one to give any directions to these guys. These guys know what they're doing. They're professionals. So just do what they know. Don't try anything new to try and impress us, I guess. Just do what they do. I mean, that's probably the best, easiest thing to do. So, yeah.
Very solid advice.
It is, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to criticise or tell people what they should and shouldn't do. So, I mean, if it's working for them, I want to taste it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly,
and all the rest of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, mate, it's nearly time for teams to start getting ready to do their hand-ins.
Yep.
So I better let you go. You've got to head up to the judges area.
No worries.
Thanks for dropping by. But before you do go, is there anybody that you want to give a quick shout-out to and tell us where we can find you on the socials?
Yep. So best place to find us on socials is on Instagram at Suck Knuckle Smokers. Punch into Google, Suck Knuckle Smokers, and it's pretty much the only thing you'll get up there. So that's probably the easiest way. And shout out to my sponsors, Goodwood Quality Meats, Able from Clean Heat Charcoal, and Oak Ridge Barbecue Rubs. Yep.
That's awesome, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Okay, so at this point I had to stop recording as it was by this time Friday night at a trendy pub in St Kilda. Things were getting very busy and it was just too noisy to keep recording. Lucky for me, one of the judges had to pull out, which meant I got to step up and judge. Got to tell you, the ribs were awesome, but what was even better was the opportunity to sit at a table with barbecue competition royalty and talk Q. I mean, each of those 3 teams have competed stateside. It was an incredible experience. But here's the long and short of it. 3rd place was won by the lads from Full Metal Kettle. Saffron proved that she can step off a plane into a cab, go straight to a comp and kick some serious butt by picking up 2nd. However, winning by a fair margin was the once and now future Rib King, Lucas from Roland Smoke Barbecue. It was a great feeling to be able to announce that to a packed Melbourne night spot and hand over $1,000 cash. I'm not sure if he made it out of the parking lot with the cash, but hey, that's St Kilda. There you have it, folks. A one-of-a-kind competition in an iconic location battled out by the titans of Aussie barbecue. Once more, major congrats go to Lucas on taking out the title of Rib King. If you'd like to get into competition barbecue or you just want to up your game, I have a free ebook you might like, 27 Lessons Learned from Competition Barbecue. Inside you'll find 27 tips that I've put together from my own experiences as a competitor and as a judge. To get your copy, head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com/comp-ready to get your copy now. There's also a link in the description. If you've got a question you'd love to ask or a story you want to share, hit me up at my Smoking Hot Confessions page on Facebook. There's also a Smoking Hot Confessions community where we talk all things Q, and you can also track me down on Instagram as Smoking Hot Confessions and Twitter as Barbecue Confessions. If you've got a product you want reviewed or an event you want covered, send me an email directly to ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation. Would you like to meet me in person? Because I'd love to meet you. Over the next few months, I'll be out and about on the comp circuit. I'll be part of the media team at the Brisbane Barbecue Festival on the 8th and 9th of July. I'll be competing at the Burleigh Barbecue Championships on the 5th and 6th of August. And I'll be competing at the Bangalore Barbecue and Bluegrass Festival on the 11th and 12th of August. I'm also going to be part of a fantastic collaboration with Mark from Smartfire for the barbecue battle in Port Mac in September. keep an eye out for the Smoking Hot Smart Fires. If you see me, make sure you come up and say hi. I'd love to meet you. Please do remember to subscribe, rate and review the podcast, as these things really help me out on the charts. Take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips and Ben's own confessions.